going straight. I can wiggle it on the... You're doing good. Towards me a little bit. Right there. Whoa, 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 whoa. All right, it is Tuesday afternoon. I've been home 7, 8, 9, 10 days. Friday, Saturday. So I've been home about 10 days now. I got the generator done. It took a little more effort than I expected. I know I hadn't put any videos out in a while, but that was one reason. I just been working on the truck. I washed the old truck today, just kind of get the dust off of it. When I took the generator off the old truck, I didn't realize it, but I'd lost the prime in the fuel system, and I went to start the truck, and it sucked all the fuel out of the diesel, or it sucked all the diesel out of the fuel filters. There we go. And so it lost its prime. So this morning we had to fill the fuel filters and get it started. So we were doing that this morning. I did get the generator mounted. I got the inverter mounted on the truck. It took me about 4 days to get the generator mounted. It wasn't that it was hard, it was just very time consuming. The only issue I have is back to the fuel. I could not disconnect the fuel connection on the old truck from the old truck to put on the new truck, so I don't have any fuel. But I can kind of do it is that I can drop the fuel lines down into the tank and it'll suck fuel. I had it running yesterday for about eight hours just to see. But I plumbed it. It was plumbed into the cooling system of the old truck. I plumbed it into the cooling system of this truck. It's the way it's been for a long time. I've never had any issues. I do have cutoff valves so that if something does happen to the generator, I can isolate it and it won't affect the cooling system on the truck. And it was the same way on the other truck. So, so anyway, let's go ahead and we'll look at the truck. We'll go over to the old truck and I'll kind of point out how it was connected over there, and then we'll come back to the new truck. I'll show you what I did. I didn't video too much of putting the generator on because, as you can see, I live out in the desert. I don't have a nice shop of concrete. Today is actually kind of calm. It's been really windy the last couple of days, and it's just been a dusty mess. Plus my frustration level was a little high dealing with everything. But anyway, let's go take a look at the old truck. I'll show you where the generator was mounted. I'll show you how it was connected, and then we'll come back over to the new truck and I'll show you what I did. All right, we're over here at the old truck. This is where the generator was mounted. You see these bolts here. This was the cross member for the frame is right there, so I had to replace those bolts because they were holding the cross member. But you can see where the holes were, and the generator was mounted right here. So when I was taking the generator off, I wanted to make sure that I kept the integrity of the truck together, meaning the coolant lines, the fuel lines, and then the fuel lines were connected up under here, and I could not get the fittings loose. So what I'm going to have to do is go to a APU center and they sell a tube that you drill a hole in the tank and mount it in there, and I'll have to get that done at some time. But and then up under here is where, let's see if it'll focus in there. Right here is where the coolant lines were connected for the generator, and they were tied into the coolant lines, and then they ran up behind the tank. So this is the old truck. So anyway, I had to put the coolant lines back on and disconnect the batteries. Let's see, there was one more coolant line up in the front up here at the bottom of the radiator that I had to connect. Let's see here, and then we'll come over here inside here. So the inverter used to be mounted here, the control box and the breaker box used to be mounted inside here. So That's the old truck. Now we'll come over here to the new truck. So if you remember, here, let me get this. I was washing the truck, I put that rag in there so it wouldn't get water in the air filter there. If you remember, there was a toolbox on this side here, and that's where those holes are, was for the toolbox. And I mounted this the same way that it was mounted on the old truck. So what I ended up doing is these rivets, bolts right here, I think they're called huck bolts, are holding this cross member on right here. So I had to grind the bolts off, the big huck bolts. I ground them off to get the new bolts in there, so you can see how the new bolts are right there. And then I ran 1-inch coolant lines. I put new coolant lines on. I'll show you over here. And this is what I was talking about. This is the fuel lines for the generator. Now I had them just sitting in the tank, you know, cap off, sitting in the tank, and the generator ran fine. So I'm gonna have to get, there'll be a little tube, it'll go right there. So eventually I will get that done so that it'll be fixed. And then what I ended up doing was I tied into the coolant lines of the truck, and this is similar to how it was tied into on the old truck. So the 1-inch coolant lines come up on the back, and then it's converted into I think it's 5/8 coolant lines, because that's what the factory size is right here. And then we got the valves here, so I can turn these valves off right there, and then that'll isolate the generator from the rest of the truck. I used all metal connectors, so I won't have an issue. I did have an issue years ago on the old truck. I used a plastic connector and it melted, so I used all brass fittings on this one, so should not have an issue. So that is the coolant lines for the truck. And all right, let's let's look right here. So you can see, let me get the camera in here. You see this hole drilled right here? This is for the power, for the 110 power coming up from the generator, and this also the control wires going down to the generator from the control box on this side. And then we'll go look on the other side. I'll show you where the inverter wires come up, and the power wires from the battery going to the control box come up on the other side over there. So let's go to the other side real quick. Okay, we're over here on the driver's side now. So you can see where the power cords for the inverter and the power cord for the control box for the batteries come up right there, go up through the hole. And then we'll open up the sleeper door. All right, now we're inside the truck. Let me open this, see if that helps. So this is the control box for the generator, with the on and off for the power to turn the generator on and off, and the controls for the generator. Now let me raise the bed. Okay, up under the bed, here's a better view. Now, so this box right there is the control box for the generator that turns on the glow plugs and cooling fans and stuff like that. So that box controls all that. That's the breaker box for the 110, and then that's the inverter right there. So that's what I've been up to for the last week or so. I've also just been spending time with Teresa. The first couple of days I got home, I didn't do anything. I didn't get to spend much time with Teresa when I went to get the truck. So we just spent some time together. The other thing I did was the steering wheel. I put a new steering wheel in here. So if you remember the old steering wheel from the old truck I had in here, I bought a new steering wheel to put in here. So did that. But that's it. Tomorrow we leave. I got to make the bed. Tomorrow we leave, and I got to make the bed, put some clothes in, pack up the truck tonight, and then tomorrow we leave to go pick up crane parts out of Hayden, Arizona, going over to San Jose, California. So that will be our load. That was a funny noise. So, all right, well, that's it. I'm sweating. It's hot in here. Thank you for being patient on the videos. I hope you enjoyed this, but that's what I've been doing. So tomorrow we leave. It's back to work. Talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.